Hello, meatbags. I know that this video has been done by a bunch of people, but I want to throw my hat in the ring before I do some more things. If you haven't gotten to know Riley here, he is a lesbian transsexual that is gender fluid and prefers he/she pronouns, and has made this video telling you that you cannot have a preference. But I'm going to go a little farther than that and pull out Riley's hypocritical notion that if you have a preference, you're a bigot, even if that preference is for another race. I, on the matter, have a preference for women of a darker skin tone. Hey Steve, what's your preference?
I love boobies.
Would you date someone who's trans?
No.
Danger, danger, high voltage, when we touch.
Would you date someone who's black?
That's actually my preference.
Would you date someone who's fat?
Well, that depends. Who are you talking about? Are you talking about women who have a little bit of a chubby belly, or are we talking about women who can't get out of bed? On the less chubby side, yeah, I can do something like that, but if she can't even see her toes and she's sitting down, then no, I'm not gonna do that.
Would you date someone who's disabled?
No.
Now, honestly, I don't know what your answer is to those questions, but I've met a surprising number of people who would say no to all or at least some of them. Their argument is that it's just a preference and that you can't control who you're attracted to.
That's right, you can't control who you're attracted to. That is what a preference is. Your body is physically attracted to something. Happens in the animal kingdom all the time.
I think most of the time that this is brought up, it's in regards to race. But in this video, I want to talk about our other biases. Let's start with trans people. Would you date a trans person, honestly? Think about it for a second.
No.
Okay, got your answer? Well, if you said no, I'm sorry, but that's pretty discriminatory.
Well, Riley, I'm glad you brought that up. See, here's something I found that started this video. I saw this little Twitter post of his, and it just goes to show you just how dull this person really is in the head. Let me just pull something back from the past of your videos here, shall we?
And now we've made it to the fun part, because I'm also trans. Because of my gender identity and the fact that I'm almost exclusively attracted to women, I identify as a lesbian. That I'm almost exclusively attracted to women,
Wow, how close-minded. It seems like you only have a preference for women. So, how bigot of you for not even trying to date a trans person. How dare you?
Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying you're a horrible person who hates trans people.
Yes, you are. That's all you ever do.
There was probably a time in my life when I said I wouldn't date a trans person. But since then, I've thought critically about it and changed my mind.
Then why are you dating your girlfriend? You shouldn't be with her. You should be with a transsexual. Get out of that relationship and be with a transsexual. Since your biggest preference is women, cis women, might I add, so since with your logic, you have to date a trans person or any of the people that you say you need to because you declare that if they don't, they're a bigot. So you yourself are a bigot.
I could sit here and show you photos of conventionally attractive trans people.
I can.
There are definitely trans people who you would never know are trans unless they told you, because they pass for cis.
Yeah, because they've been trying to get into the right body that they deemed was wrong. So they wanted to be as close as possible.
And that might convince some of you, but I think arguing that you would only like a trans person if you didn't know they were trans is a poor argument.
Because that's usually what happens. They get into a relationship and then the person tells them that they used to be another gender, and then it goes from there. If they love the person and are okay with it, they'll stay. If they're uncomfortable and not sure anymore, then they'll go separate ways. It happens, so we just have to deal with it in our own separate ways.
I think you could be attracted to any trans person, whether they pass or not. I think the main concern that people have in regards to dating a trans person is that they won't have the genitals that they expect.
Yeah, they're not expecting a woman to undress all sexually and then have something thump on the floor.
Because we associate penises with men and vaginas with women,
Boys have a penis, girls have vagina.
some people think they could never date a trans man with a vagina or a trans woman with a penis.
That's because the people they are with don't expect a dick or a pussy when they undress their counterpart they know being the gender they said or thought they were. And like I said in the previous statement, people should be aware And if they like them, they'll stay. If they don't, then they'll go. That's why your girlfriend stays with your stupid ass. However, you're not transitioning because all you did was pluck your eyebrows, elongate your hair, and put on a little bit of lip gloss. Because come on, no one believes that you're a woman with that Adam's apple you have, so she knows that you're gonna still have a dick.
But I think that people are more than their genitals. I think that you could feel attraction to someone without knowing what's between their legs.
No shit.
Because most of us do, including you. Otherwise, you'd be not in that relationship with your woman, you would be in a relationship with a trans woman who didn't tell you that she has a dick still.
And if you were to say that you're only attracted to people with vaginas or people with penises, it really feels like you're reducing people just to their genitals. And now we've made it to the fun part, because I'm also trans. Because of my gender identity and the fact that I'm almost exclusively attracted to women, I identify as a lesbian.
You see, Riley, you have the same exact preference, just like every other person. So being trans and now a lesbian, even though you say you're not a woman because your gender is fluid, which it's not, you still like women and not men. That's pretty male-phobic, Riley. However, there are trans women that become women and still love women, so they go through all the pain and misery of becoming a woman to still date females. There's nothing wrong with it. However, you are stating by this that these trans women are being bigots for not dating other trans. Do you see how stupid you look right now?
You're kind of objectifying them, but you're thinking of them more as genitals than objects.
Could you repeat that, please, Peter? I believe I had something crazy in my ear.
So I guess you're kind of genitalifying them?
Boo! You stink!
Anyway, my point is, we have implicit biases that we were raised with or that we developed over time.
Look, I can argue that you are right about this, but we can get the fuck over it. Can you please tell me what the fuck is wrong with having a preference, for the love of your God?
And they can be hard to get rid of. And I think this can be especially prominent within the queer community. Gay men often pride themselves on being disgusted by vaginas, and the same goes for lesbian women with penises.
You know, this says a lot about you on this position. If you ever went to a lesbian bar, I bet you have, they would look at you with such discontent and then knock you the fuck out and throw you out. Because you're a man trying to pass as a woman because all you did was elongate your hair, tweeze your eyebrows, and put on a little lip gloss.
It's difficult because some queer people have built their sexual identities on these repulsions.
Citation fucking needed.
But I don't think they're innate at all. If you met someone who was extremely attractive, had a great personality, but didn't have the genitals that you wanted, you might be surprised to find that it isn't a deal breaker.
Yes, it is. For instance, if there is a woman who finds another woman hot or attractive, but is not into women, that's a deal breaker. Same thing with a man. It doesn't go their way. If it doesn't get them sexually aroused, it's not gonna happen. Our sexual preferences are tied to our sexual arousal. This is where we get our fetishes. This is where we get our preferences. This is where we get our drive to have sex.
As someone who is trans and gay,
One of these things just doesn't belong here.
that I'm almost exclusively attracted to women,
See, your own preference shines through your own goddamn video. The amount of hypocrisy is overflowing. It feels like it's a giant water balloon I can hold in both hands.
sometimes people ask me with a very accusatory tone if I would date a girl with a penis. Because there's this stereotype that trans lesbians are just predatory cis men creeping on cis women.
Well, that's a 50-50 chance of that happening, but they're asking you, would you do it? And I don't think you would, because again, you have a preference for women since you're a lesbian. And even then, you're not a lesbian. You're just a straight man who has long hair, tweezed eyebrows, and lip gloss.
But the thing is, I absolutely could be attracted to a woman with a penis.
Anyone else notice that? No? Let me play that again.
But the thing is, I absolutely could be attracted to a woman with a penis.
That he could be attracted. So that falls in the line that he may or may never like it. So you just tricked over your own words here, Riley. So you yourself in your own damn video have labeled yourself a bigot from your own words. Congratulations.
I could be attracted to any woman, cis or trans.
But what about men? What about gay men? What about trans men? I mean, how dare you not have a preference or even like the men or gay men or trans men? You're supposed to like them. You're not supposed to just like women or trans women. You need to like men. You need to like cis men. You need to like trans men. You need to like gay men. How dare you? You fucking bigot. You homophobic, xenophobic bigot. You see how fucking stupid this is? God, I feel so fucking stupid saying this. I don't know how you can be serious and genuine saying this shit.
If I find you attractive, I don't care what you have down there.
As long as you're a woman and not a man.
But we know that sexual orientations are more innate than learned. They're more nature and less nurture.
Then what is the big deal? Why did you make this video then? For the love of your God, why? Preferences are natural. Then why the fuck are you making this video in the first place if you say that this is natural?
Gay conversion therapy has been proven not to work, but you can unlearn your own prejudices.
What?
Gay conversion therapy has been proven not to work, but you can unlearn your own prejudices.
These two are not equal to be compared with. However, leftists like you are doing the exact same thing hardcore conservatives feel about the gays. You're not gay, it's a choice. You're a bigot, it's a choice. Now we're gonna shock you until you're not gay, and now we're gonna shock you till you're not a bigot anymore.
It just takes time and conscious effort. And the way that we talk about potentially dating trans people has a lot in common with the way we discuss other preferences. And now we've made it to the fun part, because I'm also trans. Because of my gender identity and the fact that I'm almost exclusively attracted to women, I identify as a lesbian. Saying that you're not attracted to fat people isn't innate. It's informed by a society that tells you that being thin is ideal.
No, we don't. We can look at a man or a woman who is 400, 500 pounds overweight and go, that's fucking disgusting. We can look at someone who's like 80 pounds and go, that's unhealthy. Society did fucking nothing. Back in the 15th century, people liked fat people because it meant they had a lot of money and they ate well. Today, we can get food delivered directly to the home, and people go overboard and get fat. Now, there are people who like fat people who are 500 or 400 pounds overweight, and there's people who don't. Just like there are some people who like to date trans people and some people who don't. However, this will fall under the lines of people going, you don't like us, you just fetishize over us. So we can't say anything right, it's just always wrong. And that's the way you like it, so that we will never win, you'll just move the goalposts.
Everything in the media you consume is bombarding you with messages that skinny is beautiful and fat is ugly.
Media, from magazines to movies, whatever, is not telling you that. Your brain is telling you that. Again, when you see someone who can't even bend down to pick up something, that is going to register in your mind that that person is unhealthy. If you look at someone that looks like they can break if you just touch them, they are unhealthy. However, when you look at someone who's just right and it gets your blood pumping, then that, my friend, is your brain telling you that that person is attractive and you want to have sex with that person.
And even the nicest of people absorb these messages to some degree. But again, if you find someone attractive and really enjoy spending time with them, there's no reason why their weight should be a factor.
Correct!
However, you can't just stand there and demand someone to force someone to date someone because they're fat. What about the fat girl, huh? Maybe she has a preference for someone else. Maybe she likes buff men. Maybe she likes fat men. Maybe she likes women. Maybe she likes black women. Who the fuck cares?
Especially since we know that the relationship between weight and health is extremely complex.
No, it's not.
And you really can't make any moral judgments on a person based on their weight.
Yes, I can. It can definitely show that this person has no self-control, whether this person is obese or underweight. It means that they don't care about themselves or how they look, and they need help.
And lastly, let's talk about disabled people. Disabilities come in a very wide range, from being deaf to being in a wheelchair to only having one arm, and I think it's pretty ridiculous to say that you couldn't be attracted to any person who has any of those disabilities.
Correct, but people still have preferences, so it doesn't matter. However, I can tell you that people don't really care about disabilities. When I was younger, I lived next to a black family. One father, one mother, and one daughter. She was gay, and the father was deaf. They were a happy, loving family, and we loved them to death. There's a whole slew of disabled people like blind, deaf, one arm, missing limb, whatever, that are still in a loving relationship. They don't have a problem with it. So there are people who are going to have a date with them or be in a relationship with them. It's not like they're being trotted off or being despised or shunned from the city. For God's sakes.
Disabilities can happen to anyone. Someone you're extremely attracted to today could become disabled tomorrow, and that shouldn't make your attraction to them disappear. Though if it does, it might not be because of them, but rather because you have some preconceived ideas about disabled people that are just inaccurate and harmful.
If they love them, they will stay. However, if something occurs like maybe a horrible skin burn, like from the side of their face to make them look like Two-Face, they'll probably stay. However, let's go a little bit further. How about from head to toe 5th-degree burns, have to take care of them for the rest of their life? This is what happens. Some people can't take it and will leave this person because it's too much for them and too much for the spouse, so they will leave them. Sometimes shit happens. It's not because of attraction, it's because they lost someone and they will never get them again.
Unsurprisingly, this is another case of the media telling you that a certain group isn't attractive.
Citation fucking needed.
Disabled people are rarely romantic leads.
Because romance movies are geared towards women who like fit, stern, handsome men, for God's sakes.
Their stories in movies and TV shows are often tragic.
That's because someone who wasn't disabled becomes tragic. However, on the flip side, someone who is born and then overcomes it is inspiring. We have two of the same coin here, people. Ever heard of the miracle worker?
But that doesn't reflect the reality that disabled people can be happy and have dating lives and be attractive.
Oh my God, no way!
Now, if you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them. I'm not going to tell you that you have to be attracted to this fat person or that trans person or that disabled person.
Yes, you are.
But the more you work at unlearning your own prejudices, the more you'll be able to see people from these groups as people rather than tired stereotypes. Now, if you're not attracted to someone, you're not attracted to them. I'm not going to tell you that you have to be attracted to this fat person or that trans person or that disabled person. Unlearning our own biases doesn't happen overnight, and I don't have a step-by-step instruction guide for you.
I'm pretty sure it is in many of your previous videos.
But I think if you can accept that these prejudices exist in all of us, even you can identify them when they come up and work to change how you think about them. It will most likely be a long, slow process, but I think it's worth it.
Then why don't you do it, Riley? Well, because I'm already in a relationship, in a loving relationship. No, you don't. No, you're not. You're supposed to be with someone that's fatter than you, that has no arm, that's black, and is Islamic.
Because these dating preferences are ultimately harmful to people who don't fit into your box of what a conventionally attractive person looks like. It makes people feel isolated, alone, and unwanted to hear that they're universally unattractive to people.
Universally? Did they change the definition of preference again? Look, preferences are individual. Someone's preference is not someone else's preference. Some person likes big boobs, another person likes a flat chest. Someone likes a big ass, someone likes no ass, etc. and etc. Someone likes white skin, someone likes dark skin like me. Everyone does not have the same preference. My preference is not going to be the same as someone I randomly met on the street.
I don't think there's anyone out there who somebody doesn't find attractive. We're sold this image of the conventionally attractive person, but in reality, all kinds of people around the world are constantly dating, having sex, finding people attractive, getting married. It's not only the conventionally attractive who find love or have sex.
Well, that's just fucking rude, just calling a whole shit ton of people ugly. Oh, so you're saying you're fucking.
So by working on ourselves to dispel that idea, we can make the world a more welcoming and loving place for everybody, no matter how they look.
No one cares, Riley. You can't control anyone here. Because people have their preference, and they're going to stick to it. You're not going to unlearn it. You're not going to force people to date people that they don't want to be with. So go fuck yourself. Anyway, that's going to be it for this video, and I will see you meatbags in the next video.
Bye.
respect.